A warm welcome. This is Shobia Clinton inviting you on another episode on CUTV, A Voice That Matters. On today's show, we have Nadeem Shums with us, Vice President of John Keells Holdings. Thank you, Nadeem. Thank you for coming on board with us. Let us start with, how your journey began.
Okay. So my journey with John Keells Holdings actually started when I was in university. So I came down to Sri Lanka to do an internship during the summer holidays, and I was looking out for opportunities. And then I was introduced to someone at John Keells Stockbrokers, and where I went and did about a 2-month stint at stockbrokers. And, that was an area that I had never kind of touched before. And I found it very interesting because, especially dealing with companies, knowing about what companies in Sri Lanka do, the different types of conglomerates, and, the large and mid-cap companies. So the learning was very good. And then when I came back after my education, it was just the end of the war. So there was plenty of opportunity in Sri Lanka at that point, and we were gearing up for exponential growth. And that's the point where I actually came back to John Keells Stockbrokers and showed my interest to get back into this industry, because I felt that, that was one of the industries that was really going to grow, because with company earnings expected to grow exponentially, you were expecting that boom in the stock market. And rightly said, that's what happened. And from 2009 to 2011, there was this kind of bull run in the market, and we did very well. Of course, we didn't see the downside, because I started off straight with the markets moving up. But when the markets turned, that's when you really learn your lessons, in terms of getting out of stocks at the right point, identifying the right stocks, going into the fundamentals. So there were lots of learnings there, but I would think that was my first stepping stone into really getting into sales, because that's where I really learned my skills of, dealing with customers, building relationships. And also I was fortunate enough to work on some strategic transactions on the Colombo Stock Exchange during my tenure. And the great thing about working in a company like John Keells Holdings is the diversification of the group, because there are so many sectors that you can, get involved in. So I got the opportunity somewhere around 2014 to move over to the property sector. So at that point, from the time I joined John Keells, I knew that, I wanted to kind of move around and not just stick in one position, and, really enhance my learning over the years. And that's when I made that move to property in 2014. And ever since that, I've been in the property development sector and now leading the sales and marketing effort for the property group. So that's my journey.
And I think you as a person, what do you think your vital ingredients in success?
No, I think, when it comes to success, it's not one person. I always believe it's a team. You have to build high-performance teams to be successful for a company. No individual can do it. Myself, I can't do it on my own. And I have to depend on my team. And that's why I'm so glad, over the last few years, we've been able to do that and build these high-performance teams to achieve what we've done to date, And I think a lot of the time what I've seen is, people try to be perfectionists and, they don't really get the job done. It's very important that you focus on execution and getting things done, prioritizing your work, because at the end of the day, you have to look at how you're going to grow your top line and how you're going to grow your profits, right? And then control your costs and whatnot. But you have to bring that business in and get the work done. I think that's why you really need doers to kind of get things going. And I also tell people, you have to kind of operate at one level higher than your current position. You must always think, okay, if you're at like an assistant manager position, think of the competencies of a managerial position. What do you need to do to get up to that level? How do you take the burden of your superior to make sure, they can drive the strategy and you can drive the execution, So that's kind of what you really need to focus on. So I think a lot of it is kind of execution led, but also you need to look at the bigger picture. You need to look at the strategy. You need to see, what is your medium to long-term growth plan. how do you, both personally and also for the company, and how you can achieve that. So I think, so again, it boils down to really kind of having a good team to execute.
And in terms of real estate, how is it faring after the pandemic?
So, I mean, nothing much has changed after the pandemic. I mean, if you asked this question from me a year and a half ago, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to give you a clear answer, because as the pandemic hit, we were really concerned because, of course, especially the industry, there was quite a lot of stock in the market. We had to get the balance inventory sold. But again, fortunately enough, I think what happened was, with the government really bringing down interest rates to single digits, fixed deposits, fixed income rates came down to 4-5%. Mortgages for professionals came down to 7% upwards. So that really kind of helped a lot of money to come into the real estate sector. So what we saw was a kind of shift of funds from fixed income coming into real estate. Not only that, you also saw the stock market growing exponentially over the last year. And what that did was, when people made profits, they put some of those profits into real estate. Because it's important to note that real estate is always considered a good medium to long-term investment. And if you look at the numbers, especially if you look at some of our past projects and what it has yielded our customers over the years, you can see that the returns are sometimes even better than some of the other instruments, more of investments in the market. So, but one thing is, the fundamentals haven't changed for real estate, because you're still going to see people kind of moving into apartments, especially condominiums, and coming into the city, because people need to converge to the city for work, for schooling. I mean, post-pandemic, we are going to get back to that pre-pandemic era, right? So right now, yes, a lot of people are not traveling to work and school, but give it a couple, we will get back very soon. And once that happens, you're going to still kind of have that gridlock getting into the city, with the average travel time being 1.5, 2 hours, or maybe even up to 3 hours a day that you spend in a car. And we actually did a calculation on this. And if you spend 3 hours of your working day in a car, you could spend up to 3 years of your life, 3-4 years of your life in a car. So people are starting to realize that now. And also what you're seeing is a shift in lifestyles. You're seeing smaller families today. Couples are not having 4-5 children today, they're having 1 to 2 children. So they want that security, that convenience, and that's what we can offer. I mean, especially if you look at John Keells Properties. We are in the forefront of innovation, and we've done landmark projects in the country. If you look at some of our past projects, from the Monarch and the Emperor, which was the first kind of integrated project in the city with a hotel in the middle, with the Cinnamon Grand, which did very well, and investors and owners made good money on that project. And then we moved on to on 320, because we saw that there was a segment that wanted apartments at a competitive price in the city, because they couldn't afford the luxury development. So that's where, we came up with this model and really kind of pushed the boundary and had 475 apartments in the heart of Union Place, which did very well. And then we moved on to a super luxury development, 7 Cents on Gregory's Road, very exclusive, very unique, only 66 apartments in total. Again, the owners who have bought there today, and if you look at the land pricing there today on Gregory's Road, to build something like that at that price point is practically impossible. And now, of course, we've embarked on one of Sri Lanka's largest integrated projects, which is Cinnamon Life, which will have an 800-room hotel, 2 apartment towers totaling 427 apartments, a 30-story office tower, shopping and entertainment. So lots of different facilities for the entire family. And the key there is, if you look at that sort of an integrated project with that scale, is that you've got, for example, the Indian market, the MICE market of India, the conferences, the exhibitions. Now they're going to look at Sri Lanka as a destination that they can come and have these events, because before you didn't have the scale to host those events. Now at Cinnamon Life, we'll have banqueting and convention spaces for up to 5,000 people that we can host at any given point in 5 different locations. Then you've got the 800-room hotel and the 2 apartment towers to also service. So in addition to that, very recently, just a few months ago, we tied up with HCL, a leading global tech company that has taken up 80% of the office tower at Cinnamon Life. So that's almost 200,000 square feet. Now, what that does is it makes it a very kind of vibrant location, right? Because you're going to have 2,000 people working there. Some of them will be foreign expatriates, so they would prefer to live in that location and prefer to live at the Cinema Life apartments. They'll use the facilities at the hotel, the mall. So that integration is what creates a huge value addition. I think even for an investor, if you're buying in, that is what's going to give you value. In addition to your capital gains, you'll have a healthy rental yield as well. So then we thought about, okay, what's our next step going to be now? Cinema Life ongoing. We looked at, again, we still thought that, there are still people out there that wanted to come to the heart of the city, but really didn't have the opportunity to do so because they were priced out of the city. Now, for any individual, if you want to buy land and build a house today, just think about, forget Colombo. You take the periphery of Colombo, beyond Rajagiri or beyond Bhattarapura. If you want to buy a 10 perch block of land, today you're spending 4 million, 5 million rupees a perch, which means you're spending 50 million just for the land. And you know how construction cost has gone up today. I mean, it's gone through the roof. And if you're going to go through that cumbersome build out process and then also putting that money down for construction, you're easily looking, even if you're doing a 2,000 square foot house, your total ticket price with the land could be anywhere between 75, 80 million upwards. So then it becomes unaffordable for a lot of people. So that's why now people are thinking, okay, why should I do that and go through that whole process? Why not live closer to the city or come into the heart of the city and buy an apartment? Yes, the space will be smaller, but along with that, you get lots of other facilities. Like you take Trizen, for example. I mean, we have apartments ranging from 500 to just over 1,000 square feet. And with that, we have lots of facilities. I mean, over 35 amenities within the building that you could use for your entire family, right? So on the entire 11th floor, we have a 0.5 kilometer jogging track, 2 swimming pools, a rooftop badminton court, and lots of other facilities that the families can enjoy. So it's not only your apartment space, right? So there's so many common facilities around. And also, the most important factor is the location when it comes to a project like Trizen, because you're slap bang in the heart of the city, on Union Place, and you have an entrance on Braeburn Place. So what I tell most customers is, think of it on a weekend. You can just wake up, grab a coffee around the corner, go watch a movie in one of the developments close by. You have 4 major supermarkets, including our very own Keells Super, just across the road. So plenty of choice, and that location again is what creates that value and gives people that return over the years. And you have to follow the model of some of the other countries in the region. You look at Singapore, you look at Hong Kong, you look at Malaysia. This model has worked. People have converged the city for city living, right? And of course, back in the day, people want, sea views, lake views, all of that. But what I tell most investors is the most important aspect is your location. Can you get to work in 5 minutes? Can you just cross the road, like I said, and get your groceries and stuff? So I think the mindset is changing, and we are seeing that natural shift happening now. But if you look at, just as an example, where Sri Lanka is right now, less than maybe 10% of our occupied housing in Colombo are apartments. Now, if you look at Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur is about 60% apartments in the city. Now, Singapore is almost 100% apartments, 90% plus. So as the urbanization levels grow, you're going to see this happening and more people demanding for apartments. So now we are at 10%. Now, if you go from 10 to 20, 30%, that's where you're really going to see the growth coming in. And that's why I say the fundamentals haven't changed. Even with the pandemic, you're still going to see people coming in and buying apartments because, the housing need is still there. But of course, it has to be price competitive. So not everyone is going to come and buy luxury or super luxury development. But if there is a development with good value and at the right price point, you will have good demand. And I think that's where a project like Trizen, as we have seen, has done very well. And we've had one of our best months last month, through the pandemic. And it's unprecedented. We really didn't expect to get to this level. But I think that's also, yes, you have the macro factors that supported us, but also it's the project itself, the USPs of the project, the location, the price point that we are selling it at, and also the facilities and the kind of finishes that we are giving. So that's where, in my opinion, I'm very confident about the industry moving forward. And I think John Keells Properties, being the largest property developer in the country, we have ambitious plans to really expand this market because we've studied regional markets. We know what that growth potential is going to be. And so that's why we're just, now looking at what will be our next phase. After these projects, where will we reach out thereafter? And we are confident that this market will continue to grow over the years.
Thank you, Nadeem. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Until I see you in another interesting episode, please signing off, Shobya.